Hi, I'm Jesse Slome, and I am founder of the National Advisory Center for Short-Term Care. Now, one of the questions that agents ask me most often is, why should I even be interested? What's the opportunity to sell short-term care insurance? What I want to do is quickly describe to you some of the markets that I see presently and some down the road. These are the markets and the awareness that we'll be creating among consumers. Initially, short-term care insurance is what I call Plan B, to be used by long-term care insurance professionals who are out speaking to clients and their clients have been declined. That's why it's Plan B for someone who's been declined for long-term care insurance and is now upset and frustrated that they couldn't get something that they wanted. Short-term care insurance products, as you can learn via all the videos on our website, are much easier to apply for and to be accepted for. And so it gives the agent an opportunity to go back to the prospect to work your book of business of people who had health issues, who may have been declined, to work for them and to say, listen, it's come to my attention that there is a new form of protection that you might be interested in. It's called short-term care. It's much easier to health qualify for. I think it would be worth a few minutes of your time for us to talk about this and for me to explain to you how these products work and if it's something that might be of interest to you. But there's also, I look and say, in my mind, the greater opportunity is to not just look back at the clients who've been declined for long-term care insurance, but to bring it into your practice now if you're selling long-term care insurance. And what I mean by that is two things. First, 70% of all long-term care insurance is bought by couples. Much more interest in this product among married spouses and partners. But you know all too well that when you go in to speak to them, you often encounter a situation where one cannot health qualify for traditional long-term care insurance. Rather than walk out with no sale, because that's often what happens. You go and you say, gee, Mrs. Smith, I don't think that your husband's going to get it, and the couple decides we're going to do nothing and you've lost everything. I recommend the following. I recommend that you look at the couple and you talk to them and you explain. I'm not a health underwriter, but I'm knowledgeable enough to say, I think there's some issues here. I'm going to proceed and let's see what happens. But if we can't get both of you approved, I want you to know that there is a second option, that we could give the spouse that has some issues a shorter term plan of coverage. And some coverage is always going to be better than none. So let's proceed. But if it happens that there's a decline, you are now prepared and you've prepared the couple. So it's not like you're coming back in trying to sell something, oh, you didn't get this, but now I have another idea. You're bringing it up from the get-go. The third opportunity for long-term care insurance producers is to expand the good, better, best approach to selling long-term care insurance that I have long advocated. I have been a long advocate of not just selling consumers an off-the-shelf solution, but by giving them a good, better, best approach, just the same way that airlines sell airline seats. A lot of people sit in coach, some people sit in business class, some people sit in first class. The same is true when you're talking about long-term care protection. But here, I think there's a lot of validity in taking the good approach with short-term care as the option. And why do I say that? Half of all long-term care insurance claims last 1 year or less. I'm going to repeat that for emphasis. Half, actually 49%, of all long-term care insurance claims last 1 year or less. So a short-term care policy would have been sufficient for half of the people who bought coverage. Think how many people buy no coverage just because they couldn't health qualify or they can't afford a 3-year benefit with inflation protection and all the bells and whistles. So good coverage is just that. It might just be good enough for the person. Better coverage and best coverage is, I'm going to leave it up to you. I still believe that better coverage is taking advantage of some of the policies today that have a very low inflation rate, inflation growth option associated with them, where you lock in their good health and the ability to buy more coverage down the road. And the best coverage is what I think all of you are familiar with. It's a set amount of coverage with a higher inflation growth option, 2%, 3% today. So the good, better, best coverage is definitely an option. The second category of producers who should be carrying some sort of short-term care application in their briefcase are folks who are dealing with prospects and talking to them about Medicare solutions. Medicare is great coverage. Medicare Advantage is great coverage. Medicare Supplement is great coverage. There are tens of millions of people who buy these products and review them every year. But these products consistently change, and they consistently have gaps in coverage. And that's why I urge you, if you sell Medicare coverage, to learn about short-term care policies, because these policies can be addendums to the Medicare coverage. They can be highly affordable, and you have a willing and ready buyer who is interested, who's understanding of their issues, and will likely look and say, great, you know what? I understand what this covers, and I understand that it's not covered by Medicare. For $30, $40, $50 a month, I'm able to afford this short-term care coverage that can give me prescription drugs, it can give me home health care aid benefits, even some traditional short-term care benefits. So those are the two very viable markets in the senior market, and this is really a senior product. I urge you today to learn all that you can about short-term care, to try it. I will tell you that we will start to have an enormous number of videos on our audios on our website of successful producers and how they're approaching this market and how they're succeeding. So be a part of the National Advisory Center for Short-Term Care Information. Work with us. We will ensure your success so you can ensure other people's future. Thanks for watching.